So, my question then is, right?
Mhm.
You say we shouldn't raise taxes on the middle class. What is your number for someone being middle class in the United States? At what point does someone make enough money that they are no longer middle class?
Well, can I just first challenge you in saying that Trump already raised the taxes on the middle class in 2018?
I
But
mean,
from there, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
But from there, I would argue that middle class should be up to 200,000. So I find the fact that you include 100,000 all the way up to 400,000 just too broad of a bracket.
Okay, so 200. Okay, I can work with this. So then, so 200,000 is the end of middle class for you.
Yes. And I would call
Okay.
50K like the low end of middle class. Like you were just barely making it, my guy.
Um. So I guess I have a couple of questions for this. The first of which,
Can I load you with my other criticisms first?
oh yeah, of course, and I can respond to all of them. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me try and write these down first. Go ahead.
I'll try to say them slow. So I say 50K is not comfortable living in the United States. If you look at the trajectory of the average middle class income, and you compare that to the increased pricing for housing, education, and healthcare, you could also include transportation in there. I would also argue that implementing a fine-grained tax bracket with no upper limit is probably more ideal than your situation of increasing taxes on the middle class. This would actually address wealth inequality. It would remove the failed concept of trickle-down economics that Reagan implemented in the 1980s. I've already said the thing about grouping in 400 and 300 with 200 and 100, and then this one I'm not completely sure on. I didn't get to do very much research, but I would wonder if the number of Americans making 200 to 100K, what kind of benefit would be had if we increase those taxes. I imagine it would be like drops in the bucket. Then I would also want to remove the discussion of tax from personal tax and just go back to corporate tax and addressing that problem and not putting more burden on the people and moving that attention into increasing corporate taxes, which used to be 50% in the 1960s, that dropped down to 35% in the 1990s, around the same time that we saw the Reagan tax. Like that was like a decade after, not a decade, like 4 years after the Reagan tax cuts. Trump in 2018 brought that down to 21,000, and we've got Biden looking to negotiate, bringing it back up to like 25 or 28. Did I say 21,000? Trump brought it down to 21%, and Biden is just negotiating, bringing it back up to 28%. So I find more of the issues within the tax brackets and within the corporate taxing. And
All right.
I have to include uh, along with like the corporate taxing, that we have companies like Amazon who just barely paid taxes in 2019. And I look forward to getting into that.
Okay. So let me see if I can respond to these individually. So first, you say 50K isn't comfortable. I would say as a single dude, I would disagree with you. I live a pretty I live a pretty nice life, but like avoiding interpersonal anecdotes, right? So
Yeah.
the average the median household income in America is about 67K a year, which means half of people make less than that, and that's for household.
Nope.
Wait.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I can show
I
you my
mean,
numbers. What numbers are you working with? Like we can share sources, make sure we're all good here. Let me find your mine. Da da da. Average.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Median
No,
household
you
income.
are median is
Yeah.
30 something thousand, average is 60 something thousand. The you are
Household
referring to
income
30,000 when
in
you
the
say half people make
U.S.
more and half people make less.
Median household. This is from the census of the U.S. In
I know
2020.
exactly what numbers you're talking about.
Okay, cool.
The
So like,
average,
wait, you
okay.
asked. Oh, can I? Okay, cool. We're gonna do this now. All right, I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
just like I really should be as. Okay, cool. So median household income was 67K in 2020. 67K. So that means half of households make less than that, And then you're trying to tell me that in this case, someone making $200,000, 3 times the median household income, is part of the middle class. And I can give you some other fun statistics where someone making
Wait, are you talking
wait,
everybody? Because I'm referring to middle class median income.
the median income is 67K in
Hold on.
2020
Can
for the
you
entire population. What are you being
give me your links? Hold on.
oh my
I'm
god.
not trying to be snarky. I looked this up today too.
Okay.
Hold on. Where do I get your link?
I just sent you mine. It's from the census. You can read them
Okay.
down right now so everyone can understand them. Median household income was 67.5K in 2020. Dun dun dun. The real median income in family households and non-family households decreased 3.2% and 3.1% from their respective 2019 estimates. That's because people made less money during COVID. The real median earnings of all workers aged over age 15 and over with earnings decreased from 42K to about 41.5K. So we're talking about households. So if I'm talking about the household of a person, if a person or even a household earns $200,000, they are not middle class. They earn 3 times more than the median household income. How are they comparable? If we're talking about brackets of what part of the population people exist in, right? We can add up these numbers together. We can do this right now. So we have about 9% make under 15K. We have 8% make between 15 to 25K. We have another 8% make between 25 to 35K. We have 12% make between 35 to 50K. We have 16.5 people make between 50 to 75K. And we have another 12.3% between 75 to 99.99K. So we're talking about 100K. All right. So how many people in America make less than 100K? Right. Let's factor that together. So 17, 25, 37, add 16, 53.5 plus 12.3. We are now looking at 65.7, roughly, percent of the population makes less than 100K. So then we have 15.5% make between 100 to 150K. And this is households, not individuals, right? Households. And then we have 8%, 8.3% make between 150 to 200K. And then about 10% make 200K and over. So you're going to tell me that the people between, say, in the top quintile of American society, those people, the top, again, this is 81 to 89%, they're middle class. If they're middle class, then the middle class in America means literally everyone from the bottom 27%, anyone in the that's you're including everyone from both the 27th percentile to the 89th. And that's just so broad that those people have absolutely ridiculously different standards of living. At that point, you're lumping in people who make 35K to people who make 200K. And that's absolutely useless as a number of what the middle class actually means. And then even if we're looking at how it's distributed, are you really going to tell me that someone in the top 20% of earners is middle class? How? Please explain that to me.
I can talk.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like you bullied me with like 17 points. So, like, do you want me to respond to each of them?
I told
like,
you I was going to give you all my points. I'm not going to weasel anything. These are the things that I have an issue with, what you said. And this is what is going to be my talking points for this. So yeah, I prepared you in the forefront
okay,
of this.
okay, cool. Go ahead then. Go ahead.
So I would say that this is more indicative of a huge wealth inequality that we have in this country, a huge gap in which our middle class is almost non-existent. And you would just choose, right, as the house is on fire and there's a tornado outside, of all the things that we could possibly fix, you find a leaking faucet and you're like, here, I can fix this thing. I think it's wonderful.
Wait. So your entire issue with the debate is like, you don't think we should be having this debate? Like, you were just gonna like tell me what this is pointless. You're like, you're not even gonna argue like any of the points.
You're just saying, huh?
Then why do you? Then why?
Come here and agree with you?
Then why?
I think you're wrong.
I think you're being really fucking dumb.
You think it's normal for people to live off of 50K? I want it to be more people can earn 100K, 200K. That's what I want. I don't want to make that demographic disappear. I don't want to tax corporations.
Let me help this craziness. Let me help this crazy misnomer, because you're trying to like paint me as someone who wants everyone to be fucking poor making 50K. Here's my goal. No, I do. I absolutely do not. You are
how they can live their life with just 50K.
You are absolutely fucking insane. I'm not saying that my personal experience making 50K, it should be the basis for society. Holy shit.
I don't want to live like you. I don't want to.
I don't care how you personally want to live.
I'm not going to.
Oh my god.
Tell me how you make your 50K stretch. Tell me what's in your 401K. Tell me what's in your savings. How soon are you to be able to afford a fucking house?
I'm saving a good amount right now, but like
how much are you saving a month?
Oh my god, this isn't about my personal finances, Chaeiry. I'm doing
just fine. If you are going to tell people that 50K
are you seriously gonna
is viable.
You only make 50K.
People, if you are going to shame people who earn $100,000, $200,000, that they need to start paying taxes. Are you so sad? This is so rough. Energy to fucking
my god.
Take that energy to the corporate tax rate, okay?
I realize you want to performatively. You want to performatively hate billionaires. I'm actually trying to solve the problems of society, and like, let me explain why this is fucking important.
This is not performative.
Why are you mad at people making a lot of money? There are people that are making even more money. Okay, let's follow that logic. All right, we're gonna find the richest person on the planet, and we're just gonna like get all of his money. Oh man, that didn't solve society's problems, because it turns out it turns out the welfare state that I want to use, that I want to create, requires more money than only the billionaires in America have. Do you understand that?
You want more welfare states?
I want a bigger welfare state, yes. I want to redistribute income. I want to redistribute money. Yes.
Wait, you're not a socialist. Are you a socialist?
I'm a sock dem market socialist, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm telling you right now. I want to redistribute money.
Well, this makes sense in your world, I guess. It doesn't make sense to mine. I disagree. I do not think
so you're some girl boss libertarian. Like, we're diametrically opposed then. Is that what this is? Like, this is a sock dem policy. This is a liberal policy.
Okay, listen, I will scream over you for funsies, okay? But I'm honest when I say I do believe that the house is on fire, that there's a tornado, that there's a storm, and your version of fixing the problem is, well, the faucet's running. So let me grab the wrench and go adjust the faucet. Like, where you want to pull money from, there are avenues. There are avenues that would get more money, that would not hurt people who shouldn't be fucking affected. $100,000, $200,000 a year. I swear, just fucking come back to me in 10 years and you will realize
200,000.
You need
200,000 is hurting right now. 200,000 is hurting right now. 200,000 is really hurting right now. Really.
200,000 with a family of 4. I wouldn't say they're hurting, but they are just.
You want to do the family
living.
of four thing? Do you want to talk about like earned income tax credits? Do you want to talk about child tax credits, which Biden has done, which is super based? Do you really want to play the game?
Everyone to be on social safety net. They're just supposed to be safety nets. It's not supposed to be. This isn't like some fucking go to Outback Steakhouse. Everybody gets tips. Let's pool our tips together and fucking everyone goes home the same. No, I worked harder for my money. I want to live a little fucking lavish. Okay, is that okay with you?
It seems like Bezos worked harder than you. Why can't he just keep his money then?
Bezos did not fucking work harder than me, okay? He did
oh
not
my
work
gosh.
fucking harder than me.
I'm sorry, girl boss. Okay, but like in particular, here's the thing. I want to create a robust social safety net that fixes like all the problems that I see in society in terms of like poor people not getting enough money, people who can't work not getting enough money. The basis of a social safety net, again, this is explained for you and your audience, again, is to take care of both people who are underemployed,
also,
people who are
stop
unemployed.
Calling me girl boss? That's really cringe.
That's literally what you're doing right now. Like you're like,
I'm
I worked hard for my money.
Like,
don't tax me because I make 200K. Like shut up. Like all right. All right. Anyway.
What?
All right. So,
what the fuck?
Here's the point of the thing. I want to raise enough tax revenue to fund the programs that I want to fund. So, if that requires getting more money, and this has been proven, if I want to say fund Bernie's programs, whether it's Medicare for all, that money has to come from enough places to make enough money. And they ran the numbers. If we just take away all the money from all the billionaires, it's not enough to fund, it's not enough to fund Medicare for all. It's not enough to fully pay for like the expansive social safety net that I desire. So that means the money has to come from other places as well. So hence I start going down that income ladder towards more and more people to start raising money. And I think you agree with me on this about the people making 400K, right? That they can probably afford to be taxed more, or at least the people above them. And then you also agree that the people between 400 and the people above 200, those people are not middle class. Those are the wealthy people. I'm saying that we're going to have to raise taxes, in this particular case, on virtually, I would say most people in society to fund the welfare state that I want to craft. And this has been demonstrated by different advocates of the Nordic welfare state. So if I have to have massive tax increases on everybody, but again, if we want to be progressive about it, we can make more taxes go for wealthier people. In this case, people who are wealthier than like say the 100K that I want to push everyone to, right? I can explain why I care about that in a second. Then I'm going to have to tax people who make more than that. I'm going to tax everybody, but if you get the big thing about social safety nets is you need enough money to fund the whole thing.
Fucking talk,
and it turns out the rich people just don't have enough for everything I want to do. I'm really, really sorry
like
that it insults you. And you don't think this is an issue, but I care about providing, a universal healthcare system. I care about universal free college,
wait for my turn to talk, he will never let me talk. Okay, so if I am looking
Were you talking
back,
to your chat this entire time? Were you like, did you really just mute me and like we're meeting with your chat this entire time?
No, I muted myself.
So this isn't a good faith debate, like whatever. You weren't even listening to what I was saying. Like you were just,
Listen, Hans.
You really didn't even try. Like you didn't even like.
I absolutely did. I cannot win here with you. I'm telling you. Okay? If I cut you off and I do the debate bro thing, then you're just going to fucking call me a Weasley little debater girl and a girl boss. Okay? And then you're going to call this whole thing semantics. But if I sit back and just let you monologue for fucking ever, I'm never going to say shit. Because anytime I say something you disagree with, you cut me off and go into monologue. All right?
You have to explain why you're wrong,
I will mute you and explain to my chat why I'm sitting back and just fucking letting you go off.
Uh-huh.
So, now what I will say in response to what you are saying is in 1980s, Reagan simplified our tax code. This was in a way to put forth trickle-down economics. So everyone who made $400,000, $450,000 and higher all pay the same tax rate. Okay? So for someone earning $400,000 to be paying the same level of taxes as someone who is raking in $500 million, that is where I find a problem. For our corporate tax rate to go from 50% down to 21%, that is where I find a problem. These are two issues I would like to address immediately. And you know what I would like to do? I would like to see how beneficial that is to us before I start fucking putting more taxes on middle class America. Because that is the only fucking demographic that continuously gets hit with taxes, okay? And I understand you just got your first fucking job, right? You got money in the bank. You on your own now. Life is
really
probably
condescending, but go
fucking
ahead.
lavish. It's condescending because you just, it's wonderful that you have such a
We can't all be girl
optimistic
bosses. I get it.
view, okay? I'm not a fucking girl boss. I'm sorry if I don't agree with you here, and I have reasons why I don't agree with you, and you haven't persuaded me against my reasons. You don't have to just fucking degrade me down to being a girl boss because I debate you on it, all right?
Okay, so I want to ask a question. Is
Go for it.
is your desire in terms of taxation to get enough money to fund the programs that you want to fund?
Yes.
And then what if I told you that the programs that you suggested are not enough? And we had
Then
to tax it for...
Then I would want to look and see if it's not enough. I mean,
It's not.
you don't know that.
We do.
We don't.
Oh my god. Okay, so where do we suddenly make the $30 trillion for Medicare for all, which I do want. I don't know where you're at, like, on universal healthcare. When I'm trying to, like, solve these problems, where am I supposed to find that money? It's not all...
I was under the impression that Warren had like a wealth tax plan. I'm under the impression that there are several plans.
Wealth taxes have been tried and they're relatively unsuccessful. So I'm using different... So yeah, so what I'm looking for taxes that work pretty well, and it seems like some of the best ones that we have are income taxes. Those seem pretty relatively useful. We can also talk about, say, social wealth funds, if you want to go into those in terms of how we're going to fund this thing. Because welfare... Sorry, go ahead.
Do you feel like you will get more money if you take everyone's money in middle class than if you tax corporations and tax upper class, rich people?
You realize that we have to, we just need enough money for program X. If I told you that we have the tax rate for corporations, and this is something that I assume you know, because like you seem very happy and proud of like the old tax rates for corporations, that you raise it very high, and then that raises more revenue, but also it encourages them to do internal investment. If we raise...
they already do that. Oh my God, they got their fucking taxes put down to 35, 21, and they still do stock buyback subsidies and avoid payroll tax at every fucking cost. That shit's gonna happen no matter what.
Okay, but so do you understand that even though the nominal corporate tax rate was 90%, it's not actually 90%? Like the effective rate is considerably lower because they use like internal investment and stuff. You get that, right?
And do you know when you refer...
It's a yes or no question. It's a yes or no question. Like, please.
And I'm going to respond with, do you understand that the tax rate for middle class America, there's also loopholes for middle class America too. Like the percentages that you go to and that you do your calculations or whatever, like there are ways that people can get around paying taxes even in low income, even for 50K, 70K, 100K, 200K.
You say it again. Sorry, someone sent me a DM and I was trying to read it. Go ahead.
I said these loopholes that you acknowledge that upper class or even corporations take advantage of, these exist in middle class tax brackets.
Some of them do, like child tax credits.
A lot of them do.
And I would like more of it.
Not child tax credits. I'm talking about like home office, having a business as a you're low income, you can still have a business and then like shuffle around money that way. I don't want to get into this. Most of this I probably can't talk about.
Okay, but then so let's go back to like the initial point about how if we're trying to raise enough revenue, what I'm telling you is even if we raise more revenue from businesses, it is not going to be enough to fund the welfare state that I want, which means I have to look for the money elsewhere. We can look to the rich and then we can look to the wealthier or more affluent. If you still want to call them middle class, that is fine. I am in favor of progressive taxation, but what's more important than progressive taxation is the size of the state that we're creating in terms of the welfare state. So I'm not just trying to say, oh, we should hit the rich people harder. Again, I get that. I also don't like Bezos. I don't like billionaires. But that's not the point when I'm trying to create this. This isn't a spite-based politics thing. This is I need enough money to fund the welfare state that Hans wants. And they just don't have enough money.
I personally just don't think that you have a full grasp on what it means to be middle class America in a house in the suburbs or even in the rural parts of this country, even in the actual welfare states. I understand that there are cities, suburbs that can have some affordable cost of living, living in the outskirts of Georgia, like Atlanta, Georgia, or living in the outskirts of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There are places that you can probably live fairly comfortably on the low end of middle class if you are by yourself. But costs go up when you move towards owning a car, owning a house, providing healthcare to an entire family, going to school, paying for your children to go to school, paying for transportation. If you don't have a car, you still have to get around somehow. I don't think you grasp it completely when you go after 100K, 200K. I think if your tweet was just 300, 400, 500 and up, I would have been fine. But at some point, I do draw the line around 200K. And I think you just don't respect that, and that's fine. And I would just chalk that up to lived experience.
Because you know because you're really struggling on 200K, and I get this might be a personal thing for you, but it's not
It's not a personal thing from me. I'm a poor fucking person. I just happen to be dating somebody who is well off, okay? I've struggled my entire fucking life. I watched 2 adults fucking struggle raising me and making it in the household. This is just, it blows my mind. I just don't understand.
It blows your mind.
I do understand. It's naivety. Naivety?
Oh yeah,
How does that work? Naivety.
All right,
It's just not being involved as a child and understanding your parents' struggles in paying the bills, or you can do this but you can't do that. We've only got 1 car for this year. Maybe we can get a car next year. And just the struggles that happen in a household, even with incomes such as 100K.
If you want to tell me that someone who's making more than the median income in virtually every county in every city in the United States is struggling, I'm not sure if you understand how
Okay.
medians
How about this?
function. Okay, so what I'm asking then, right? You're saying 100K is struggling. If I can tell you that the median household income, so this is the middle, the average, no, sorry, not the average, the median, the middle, right? So the person in the exact middle of that thing. We're not talking about the super wealthy because we're using we're using all the numbers. We both know how medians work. So, and I can tell you that the median income for a household in, say, Manhattan, one of the most expensive places to live in the country, is 87K. And then you're telling me that 100K isn't that much, and that 200K isn't that much. My question then...
I don't think you understand what the median lifestyle in Manhattan is. Have you looked up what the average size of an apartment is in Manhattan? Do you understand what the median lifestyle is living there?
I assume that half of them have it much, much worse off, and I care about those people, so I need a stronger social safety net to make sure that they're okay.
And they have that in New York City. For the most part, there is social safety nets. You do get free healthcare in New York City. You do get assistance in New York City. You can easily get a Metro Pass in New York City. So free
healthcare, free transportation. You make 100K, so you make more than the median, and you're still struggling. Very interesting.
I'm not referring to Manhattan when we're having this conversation.
We can refer to
I'm just challenging what you're saying, which is bringing up the Manhattan median.
Let's talk about other places then. All right, let's talk about, say,
because this is what I want to bring up. I want to bring up education. Okay, when you go to settle down and find a house in a location, where would you choose to live? if you were going to raise a family and have kids, where do you think is important to live? Where do people want to find success?
You want to go to a good school, and good schools are expensive because the property taxes are higher, and that's how we fund schools. That's another problem that we need to deal with. If you're saying that like we can't do this because systemic issue, then I would just.
I'm trying to explain to you where people find an issue in trying to fucking make it in this world, in trying to set their children up for success, and trying to
And what about the people making less than the
wealth.
median? What about the people making less than the median? I want to make sure that they have a chance of success too. And that means I need a stronger welfare state. No, it doesn't seem like you are.
Taxes, and that's why I want a more fine-grained tax bracket with no upper limit. Like, that's why I want these things. It is, and that's why I would be for a wealth tax, which I don't know if it's been unsuccessful in the past. I don't think it's ever been done, and I know it's posed as a very complicated thing to do, but Elizabeth Warren sounds pretty confident in her ability to do it, and it seems like something even millionaires are like on board with, because the actual percentage of the wealth tax is even less than what they would get in interest. So these people wouldn't even be losing money off of what they earn for just sitting on their fucking money. Where I'm trying to reach you is where people are trying to go to get out of these communities that are not helping them, to get out of these communities, to give their children a fighting fucking chance, to make sure that their kid doesn't grow up with poisoned water, to make sure that the school that they are bringing their child to is actually going to set them up for success. And I understand your mission, but I do think that you need to have a little empathy for these families who are living in these like high cost of living areas, but they don't actually make the money that you think they fucking make. They are usually like immigrant families or people that are just creating generational wealth who are setting their children up for success.
So you're asking me to have empathy for the people making 100 to 200K, and I'm asking you to have empathy for the people making less than the median, like in all these areas, which in this case is less than like a certain amount of high five figures. And you're saying that I'm the one who doesn't care about people like who are struggling and are drinking poison water and stuff. My entire policy. Wait. I'll let you go. I'll let you go. My specific thing is I want to help those people who are suffering more. I don't particularly care about the people who are making well above the median. In this case, $13,000 above the median in Manhattan, $40,000 over the median in Omaha. Those people I'm a little less concerned with. Like, I'm sure if they're trying their best, they want to live that, that middle class lifestyle, right? Because apparently that's middle class. I'm telling you, there's almost in virtually every area, half the people make a lot less than that. And I want a stronger welfare state to take care of those people and not the ones who might be struggling because, I can't afford to send my 4 kids all to private school on my 200K salary. Those aren't the people that I'm actually worried about the most. This seems like what you're defending the most. Is you're like, I'm worried about people making 100 to 200K. I'm worried about the people making less than the median because they're the ones that are suffering the most in society. I want to make sure they have access to clean water. Want to make sure they have access to clean drinking water and all sorts of that shit. And they have access to good schools.
I completely understand. The only difference is I care about all of those people. I care about all of them except for the 1,000 billionaires in this country, the corporations who avoid taxes, and the millionaires who get to have the same taxes as people making like $500,000 and less. Those are the people who I don't really care about. But in my goals to get everyone better, I'm not going to say, hey, everybody, let's just pool in all our money and hopefully like we've got it among us. And then we'll split it up and hopefully we got it among us. No, there's other things that we can try before you, I don't know, just further fucking expand the wealth gap. I understand that you think like, what did you say? It was like 13% of Americans make 100K and up, or was it 200K and up?
Let me find it really quick.
I forget the percent.
If you make 200K and over, you're in the top 10% of Americans. Top 10.3%. Of households, not people, households. To continue.
I don't really know what that statistic is then.
The difference between a household versus a person is that households include like
combined income, yeah.
Yeah, combined income stuff.
I just don't know how that skews where I'm going. Okay, so like what I would say, I think there is like wildly wealthy people. Just like they have more wealth than they can fucking spend in generations. Okay? And then there are people who own nothing. Poor, homeless, maybe dying somewhere in the tunnels of like NYC. We just have these drastic differences, okay? And then when we like decide where the higher end of the pay gap is, I just don't know if that is like a good focus to have, because I feel like our numbers are so varied. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm also losing myself right now.
So here's the
Like
issue.
I'm less interested in how many people make 200,000 and more interested in 200,000 in these areas. Is that living lavish and rich?
Okay.
And I don't believe it is.